Now, we will explain the progress of evolution in perceptual time, using another diagram. Here, the most obvious feature is that each evolutionary flow of the being accompanies its ever-progressing on the original time. It has, now out of its own cosmos, entered into an objective and active evolutionary state within the organization systems, by acquiring the merit of obeying the necessities of the flow of the original time. Previously, we had said that time develops in the spherical time by expanding in all directions. Differences in expansion which occur, starting from the beginning of perceptual time's development, make advances on the original time as well, as they follow a fast and unlimited progress of development. That is, the lines of development here do not continue on in parallel, but extend and widen by continuously distancing from each other. In order to explain it with a diagram, let us take for concentric spheres in various sizes, figure 9. When these four concentric spheres are cut in two halves, provided that they are cut from the exact center, and one of the cross-sections is studied, for distinct cross-sections are seen, as in the diagram. These cross-sections put into effect the centrifugal state, A, B, C, D. Each of these are the four distinct stages the smallest sphere at the center takes on by increasingly expanding. That is, out of the expansion of the sphere at the center with size A, the sizes B, C, D have occurred. So, the sphere A, as increasingly growing, has reached the size D. Now, in order to compare these cross-sections to each other within the expansion of the sphere, let us pull the cross-section, D, away, like a folding hood of a camera, from the smallest cross-section, A, by keeping it fixed. Here, a cone occurs. Naturally, the base of this cone is the cross-section of the sphere, D, which is the largest and outermost. At its tip, that is, in its narrow side, is the smallest sphere, A, figure 10. And the layers, B, C, in between are made up of the cross-sections of concentric circles in various sizes. Here, the differences in width of the cross-sections, A, B, C, D, of the cone, show the developmental values of the perceptual time relative to each other. For we have said that each cross-section here actually shows the differences in expansion of a sphere which grows on top of another. So, the difference of a cross-section, relative to the previous cross-section, shows the width of the sphere's development particular to that moment. In this way, the diagram below expresses the developmental width of each cross-section, which belongs to its own capacity. Figure 11. The difference in width here also indicates the advancement made on the original time during the development. For example, the parallel E, F, and E1, F1 shows the developmental degree particular to the sphere A. The following parallel, G, H, and G1, H1, shows the developmental degree of the sphere B. The distance, 1, between these two parallels indicates the difference in development between two developmental stages, and also the traverse distance on the original time. Similarly, it is easy to see in the diagram the expansion of the fields of development I, J, and I1, J1, with K, L, and K1, L1, belonging to the increasingly expanding spheres C and D, and the occurrence of their differences, 2 and 3, pertaining to the development and flow of time between them. The term of developmental difference here means, previously we had talked about the comprehension start to adapt to the necessities starting from the beginning of the plan of duty, and so, by the adaptation of comprehensions to the necessities of the original principle, pertaining to all spirit and universe relations, a unity is reached and finally, the unitary is attained. And because of this, the evolutionary stage, which begins from the plan of duty, has been called as the field of active adaptations. So, now, we show this truth as well in the schematic explanation of spherical time. For this difference, which is seen in between the two developmental stages of the spheres, and which is called the progress on original time, is only the expansion of this field of adaptation. However, this sphere development certainly has an ending, which is the ending of the universe. After all, the increase of these developments is accompanied by the expansion of the field of true adaptation in universe. And the expansion of the field of adaptation means the realization of the unity of comprehension, which we call the unitary. We remind you that, in the continuation of the superficial time realities, there is not such a development, that is, the progress on the original time, which means advancing towards the unitary. Expansion of developmental lines at every moment, as it is here, is not in question in the development of superficial time. There, only the preparations of rendering all necessities of a moment on the original time within a certain field are done. Both diagrams, regarding superficial and spherical time, show that, in spherical time, unlike in superficial time, there is no developmental mode which continues on uninterrupted, by the adding of the leaps on each other as staying within a certain field. Here, again, unlike in the former, there are no separate cycles. On the contrary, there are new and ever-expanding fields of development. In other words, here, there are no periodical movements of advance which are in a limited field, imprisoned within a single moment of the original time, but the fields of expansion, progression and development within an infinity that reaches to the boundaries of universe. And this progression comes to an end at the unitary. So, by saying this, we explain in detail the meaning of the phrase said previously that, true evolution begins with spherical time comprehension. Now, it is time to explain a very significant problem. This problem is the quality of the space, which puts into effect the time forms, by ensuring the adaptations and connections of the states of the original time, which advances in universe in accordance with the original necessities, pertaining to cosmoses, to the matter miliers in those cosmoses. On the one hand, there are motions which put into effect the time forms, and on the other, there is the matter milier, which needs to be bound with those motions for the occurrence of the time comprehension. However, unless the third condition we listed in the relations of time and space, that is, the binding of this milieu with the time motions, is ensured, space cannot be built and the manifestation of the time form cannot be possible. Therefore, here, there is a major factor, which plays a fundamental role in the universe mechanism. So, in order to constitute space and to establish the time form particular to a universe, the factor which binds the existing matter milieu with the motions belonging to the time form is the sublime principle of destiny, and its necessities, which manifest in the universe as the mechanism of destiny, permeate the universe as filtered from the unitary, together with the original necessities and the original time. Therefore, in short, space is the manifestation of destiny in cosmoses and in the universe. That is, the space in a cosmos, which results from the binding of the motions belonging to time with the matter miliers, is the manifestation of destiny in that cosmos. Therefore, destiny is the flow of the principle of destiny in universe, which puts into effect the time and space forms particular to that cosmos, by binding and establishing time in cosmoses with matter miliers, and works under the directives of the original necessities and obeys it. Destiny manifests in cosmoses in accordance with the possibilities of those cosmoses. For example, the superficial time-space in the hydrogen cosmos is the manifestation of the destiny which is particular to this cosmos. Thus, the destiny which permeates the whole universe from the unitary by carrying the original necessities, puts into effect all formations, deformations and transformations of cosmoses, by utilizing time which depends on the original necessities again. So, we now explain in more details that, all formations, deformations and transformations the beings put into effect in matter, occur only through the assistance, intervention, and controls of the beings in duty in the cadres of original principles of destiny and time, in accordance with the directives filtered from the unitary. This knowledge gives the intuition to mankind about the true roles of destiny and time in the universe. If destiny and time coming from the unitary did not exist, in accordance with the necessities of the original principle, the technical activity of the states of the universe parts, which pertain to their endless formations and transformations which are necessary on the face of the momentary behaviors and merits of spirits, would lose its focus. The factor, which appreciates the degrees of merit of spirits on the face of the necessities determined by the original principle pertaining to the evolutions of spirits, is destiny. That is, the technical component of the original necessities in the universe, is destiny. Destiny renders this function with the assistance of time, and uses it as a measurement. We make this mechanism a little bit clearer by explaining it with a coarse example. A school has certain classes and a high seat of proxy, which appreciates the ordering of lessons in accordance with classes, and placement of students in certain classes in accordance with certain merits. Now, if a student starts from the first class, and automatically misses out all other classes without becoming subject to any control whatsoever, and goes out of the school gate, he is not deemed as having graduated. Therefore, this student should be examined, tried and going through strict supervisions termed as test and trials once a year, or even a few times a year by the officers authorized through the proxy. In short, what is necessary to be given to him as considered particular to that moment from that school, and if he acquired merit to what is necessary to be given to him, should be examined. If the child, as the result of this test and trial, has learned the rightful lessons of the class he is in and has earned the right of them, then he has succeeded in the examination and acquired the merit to pass to higher classes, to finish the school. Otherwise, he is left in the class which is most suitable to his degree of merit and knowledge, and to be subjected to education and teachings accordingly. That is, there is no rule in this school that students will remain in this or that class for such and such a period of time, and when this time is over, they will automatically miss out the classes and finish the school. Life is similar to this. The original principle, which we call the highest and most authorized seat, has regulated the schedule of the world school. Even a slight digression from this is not allowed. However, again in accordance with this schedule, students, that is, mankind, should work and make effort to move up to the classes there, and in proportion with these effort of theirs, they should acquire merit for the grades and classes which need to be reserved for them, and should prove it as well. As mankind do this, they move up to the classes they are merited for. On the other hand, the ones who cannot acquire the merit of the state they are in because of laziness or inaptitude, are subject to treatments according to their degrees of merit. And this entails two conditions. One of these is the freedom of efforts necessary for mankind to prove their merit, and the other is the existence of a factor which appreciates this merit, and which measures its degree of accordance with the original necessities, and which regulates and prepares the most worthy and suitable matter states and circumstances for mankind regarding those necessities. So, this technical factor which ensures the proper application of the original necessities, and evaluates by appreciating the degrees and measures of reconciliation between the beings and the original necessities, is the mechanism of destiny in the universe. Thus, manifestations of the principle of destiny, which depends on the original principle that exists in the superuniverse, that work in the universe as the mechanism of destiny, puts into effect the manifestations of destiny in cosmoses in accordance with the possibilities of those cosmoses, and its manifestation in cosmoses are the infinite states and circumstance of space. Therefore, the mechanism of destiny which appreciates beings' degrees, and measures of merit regarding the original necessities, and which regulates being's material possibilities in the flow of the universe according to this merit, is the manifestation of the sublime principle of destiny in universe. To define the manifestational ways of destiny in other cosmoses, which manifest in our cosmos within certain space forms, with the comprehension and views of this cosmos, is certainly not possible. However, we only state that these manifestations, as they arise from the plans of duty towards the unitary, certainly change their function which is valid in our cosmos in accordance with their scope. When reached at the unitary, it expresses a state of unity which is unified with all necessities, comprehensions, possibilities, and states.